Oh, buongiorno, my friend Milanista. Something is moving. Maybe something is moving, and AC Milan might get Ricci. So today we're gonna talk about Ricci. Who is Ricci? What does he do in his life? Do you like this kind of graphics? Just a question. But to know Ricci, you also have to put in the context of where he played, which is Torino. So, can Ricci be a flop in AC Milan? Is he overrated? Because there is the chance that he is. Like, obviously, it's always you never know. We never know how a player might turn out to be. He is not the replacement for Reinders. Forget about that. They are so different. These kind of players, they are totally different players. Ideally, you would have Reinders and Ricci, and you don't substitute Reinders for Ricci. But we don't have Reinders, so we might get Ricci. He's Italian, he's young, so he's resellable, which is a big thing, because if you look at Musa, for example, Musa did horribly in AC Milan, but still has a value of 25 million, and I'm surprised about that. But so let's go on to Torino. Okay, I wasn't going to lose too much time. Torino, how does Torino play? So this year I did watch Torino as well, my fair bit, because Ricci was always linked to AC Milan. So I wanted to check what kind of player Ricci is and if he can help AC Milan doing something, especially with Allegri's playstyle. So Torino plays with usually with a 3-5-2, or in the later part of the season also with a 4-2-3-1. So Ricci was a pivot in there. I will show you now a little chart that shows. There you go. That shows you Torino's. This chart is about Torino PPDA and possession percentage. So the PPDA is basically shows you how many passes a team allows the opponent to complete in the final 60% of the pitch before they apply defensive pressure. So how much basically the team pressures the other opponent, right? So if it's lower, it means that the team is more aggressive. Like Bologna, for example, it's lower because Bologna is high possession and wants to press the opponent as soon as they can, as you can see from this chart. So if you combine it with the possession percentage, it can tells you somehow so how much the team controls actually the ball in the game, and how, let's say, actively defends once the opponent advances. So as you can see in the chart here, Torino is right in the middle, in the perfect balance, in the balance of the middle, because he has like about 50% of possession and around a PPDA of 12. So if you have watched Torino, you will know that Torino has a conservative build-up. He's not fairly too aggressive, as you could see from the chart as well. They do prioritize stability. They do some mid-level pressing. They don't press too much, and there are also like fewer physical battles when you compare like to the league average, because what you saw is basically the average of the previous Serie A. So Torino's defensive system is not an aggressive one, but it's more one that is more concerned with the organization on the pitch, which is where Ricci is good, right? He's not flashy. Like Ricci is not, as we will see, Ricci is not a flashy kind of player. So midfielders like him, they have to maintain the shape. They have to be tactical aware, and this is, I think, one of the reasons why AC Milan or Allegri, in this case, wants Ricci, because Ricci has good tactical aware. He is not one that make assists, so you will not see him much, I think, in the final third. Also, according to his data right now, that it can change, because if Allegri asks him to do a certain type of work. But I don't think that Allegri will ask him to push, because he's gonna be a defensive midfielder. You put him in front of your defense, and he keep it organized. So it's not one that aggressively attack and try to to attack or tackle the opponent. As you can see from Ricci, this is Ricci's few data that I decided that I chose to put about Ricci's, has a high pass completion. Completion. How do I read this? Completion, 88%, which is high, and it's mainly for short and medium passes. Long passes, it's about, I think it was like around 60% or 68%. But it's good, but not as good as the medium pass accuracy that he has, which is 91%. So what does this tell you? That basically he is there to organize the midfield. He doesn't play vertical very much. He's there and try to, by being like aware of where he is, of the space that he is in, try to organize everything a little bit and to chose what to do. Okay, I don't think he's gonna be the playmaker in this sense, but it's basically that's what it is, right? He doesn't tackle. Is it tackle that you say? Doesn't tackle as much, and he's more about possession retention over the progression. As we said, he's not gonna go on to attack, but it might be a little bit slow, maybe, or he can slow down a little bit the game, staying organized, which is what Allegri ideally wants in the end, right? So his numbers of tackles and interceptions per 90 minutes, it's low. It is low. So what does it mean? That he never tackles anybody? No, that's not what it means. In this case, I think it means that he chooses when to tackle. Okay, so he's in his space, he's aware, and he knows when he wants to go in to tackle. So defense, basically, through positioning, not high volume duels. So he's not going to be dueling as much. I think you will need other midfielders to do that kind of job for him, I think. But he does have a good dribbler tackle success of about 64%, which means that when he is challenged, he can do good. So you can see also from the heat map of Ricci that he is there to organize and to clean a little bit. It's that kind of job. So as I said, it's not going to be flashy. It's not going to be flashy. Is it going to be good? I don't know. It depends who you put next to him. If you put like, Modric, for example, I don't know who's going to be on the other side. Maybe Fofana? I don't know. Modric will be probably the main creative hub of AC Milan, will pass through Modric. So that could be a little bit predictable, but then we will have to see who is on the attack and who is on the other side, if it's Xhaka or Fofana or that Club Brugge player, Jashnari. It's called just Jashnari, which I do like a lot. I think Jashnari is, I would like to have Ricci and Jashari, not Jashnari. What the fuck are you saying? Jashari. Because Jashari has way more technique compared to Ricci. So technically speaking, Ricci is okay. He's good. He's not the best. He's not a dribbler. He doesn't try dribbles and stuff like that. He's there to defend. He doesn't score. He doesn't assist. I think this area he made like 1 goal, 1 assist. So he doesn't really go there. And mainly when he shoots from outside the box, and he didn't add well ever this year. So he's not like a shooter that you can say like Çalhanoğlu, okay? That you put Çalhanoğlu there and Çalhanoğlu shoots, and he is accurate and scores as well. So it's very, very different. That's why he is not Reinders at all. I don't expect him to be even close to Reinders, okay? More defensive, more organized, and I think that's one of the reasons why Allegri wants him. And I don't know if even Manchester City wanted him. I don't know. There were rumors, I think, the past year, but I can't remember. So whatever. So what are the pros and cons? Even if talking about pros and cons doesn't make sense really, because it depends on the system and how a team plays. As we saw, like what kind of tasks does he has given from the coach. But just writing pros and not writing cons sounds weird to me, so I'll just put like some cons that I think might be cons. Okay, don't take this with a grain of salt, with a salt of grain. Okay, pros. Obviously, the positional play of Ricci is something that Allegri will like a lot, because he knows where to stay, he stays there, he looks around, it's that kind of thing. Also, is not one that takes risks, and Allegri will like that. As we said, is one more to tidy up things, but it's not gonna take huge risks, in my opinion. Then we will see, which this can be a pro or a con. So I think I put it in a cons as well, because it is a pro and a cons, so it will depends. He has more tactical intelligence compared to physical dominance, so he chooses when to go in. So he is smart about that, and he is also familiar with basically, like according to how Torino played, he is familiar with that kind of compact, stay on your ranks kind of play style. Okay, which is what Allegri will want. I think is one of the reasons why Allegri wants Ricci. What are the cons then? One of the cons might be that he might be too slow on the ball. So he might be too slow with vertical transitions. Is that a possibility? But then it depends, because if the coach tells him just be faster, it is what it is. But it's true that he never tried to go vertical that much in his career, which means that yes, he could do it, but he's not used to it. Okay, he's more, as we said many times in this video, sorry for the repetition, he's there to organize. So unless he changes from here to this, I don't think that's gonna happen, right? Which means that he is safe, but he's also conservative in the build-up, which basically means, as I said before, that the creative aspect of AC Milan might not pass through Ricci, even if his long balls can be useful to AC Milan. Okay, so this is what I think about what I found out about Ricci. Let me know what you think. Is he the right purchase? Now, if the numbers are correct of the news, Ricci might go to AC Milan for 25 million. That is a good price, I think. It is a good price, because 35 million, which was the original price that Torino wanted, 35 million, I'd say, well, can put a bit more money and get Jashari instead, right? But 25 million, he's young, he's 23, he's Italian, okay? That's a big thing. Now, there is could be a problem as well, because you say, oh, finally, when there is like a decent Italian players, that player seems a god because all the other Italian players sucks. It's certainly a thing. So he might be overrated. I'm not going to say he won't be overrated, but I think this is a risk worth taking, but we got to get somebody else as well. So if we get Modric, I don't know about Xhaka, if Leverkusen is pissed about that. We will have to see who you put next to Ricci and how they interact. It is true that with Modric teaching Ricci something, Ricci can learn a lot and can improve a lot. So it's hard to say whether Ricci is going to be a great footballer or not, because in football things change every year. It depends on the context, on the atmosphere, on the team, on the teammates. There's so many much variables that, I think Messi was deemed not valuable of Barcelona when he was a kid, like because of his body's problems. English. No, he had problems. Like, no, Messi is not gonna make it. So you never know. You make mistakes in football. I'm happy because he's Italian, so we can get some Italians, even if the name of Rovella was there too. But yeah, we will see. Finally, we might get a first purchase for AC Milan. Maybe they heard me after complaining so much, and now let's try to get also other players too, though. But let me know. Have a good one. Ciao.